Hi, welcome to Azure User Group Sweden. Hi, everyone that are watching us live or recorded today. Hi, Håkan. How are you?
Hello. Hello, Jonah. I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to be back since,
Yeah.
since the last session. So,
Um,
yeah. So,
yeah,
how did,
we missed you last session here, so it's really great to have you back.
yes, but I saw it went well, and I was watching from the airport the last 2 weeks when I was when you were live, and
Mm.
I saw also that you had an event recently, the AI 42 conference. How did it
Mm.
go?
Yeah, we actually had an event about generative AI, so it was really great. We had 100 participants and three really great speakers. So for those who
That's
missed it,
great.
we will actually put it out on our YouTube channel.
That's awesome. I'm gonna actually look it up. Yeah. So everyone that are watching us today, thank you for tuning in. We have an interesting session coming up about AI and a special guest speaker as well. But before we do that, let me just introduce my co-leader, Håkan Silvernagel here. So Håkan is a Microsoft MVP for AI. He works as an AI expert specialist at Miles in Norway, and he is also an MCT, an international public speaker, and he is a community leader in different communities like AI 42, Norwegian.net user group, and other communities in Europe. So it's an honor to have him as my co-leader as well in Azure User Group Sweden.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jonah. And I'm also very proud here to be able to introduce Jonah Anderson, who is the founder of our user group. She is a Microsoft Azure MVP, a Microsoft certified trainer. She is also a mentor and a podcast host, and she's an international public speaker. And she is working as a senior Azure consultant at Solidify. And she's also a book author for O'Reilly. And now you're on mute, Jonah.
Okay, thank you so much, Håkan. Thank you. All right, I was just like conscious that maybe my dog starts barking. Yeah, but thank you so much for the great introduction. So before we bring in our speaker for today, introduce him, let me just share our code of conduct. So at Azure User Group Sweden, we follow a code of conduct where we expect everyone to be nice and friendly, respectful to others. If you have ideas that you want to share, be open about it and be inclusive about your questions and comments, both in the live chat, our Zoom meetings, and even our interactions. And if you have questions about our code of conduct, feel free to reach out to me and Håkan on LinkedIn. And we also have like a after session digital fika where you get a chance to mingle with the speaker, me and Håkon, and raise questions. So if you want to join this after session private meeting, feel free to scan the QR code later on. Do you want to share about our upcoming Global Azure also, Håkon?
Yes, on April 20, around that time, there will be a global event called Global Azure. And of course, we in the Azure User Group Sweden is part of that event. So you can join us for the Global Azure Sweden edition. You can scan this code to register, and you can find out more information about this event, about all the different events on globalazure.net.
That's great. Thank you, Okan. And we will be giving away like an ebook version of my book, Learning Microsoft Azure, to the best technical question of this session. AI is an interesting trending topic today, so make most of the opportunity to ask technical questions, hard or easy, to our speaker today and get a chance to get a copy of my book.
Yes.
Okay, time to
Yes.
bring in our guest.
Yeah, so we're very, very happy here to be able to introduce Gurion Konst. Welcome.
Yes, thank you
Welcome.
very much. Nice to be here.
Yes, it looks like it's a sunny day where you are right now. I can see the
Yeah,
sun
yes.
shining through you.
In the Netherlands, the sun is shining, and I have just enough hair so it doesn't reflect into the screen.
That's great.
Yes.
All right. Håkan will
So,
properly introduce you.
As a small formal introduction here is that Garion Konst works as an innovation officer at Roworks in the Netherlands, and he's focusing on a future workspace and the cloud. He has 20 years experience in the IT industry, started out as a system engineer and working his way up to an IT pro. And he has both broad and in-depth knowledge of workspace and cloud. And he is a known presenter on Xbox Live, Azure M365, and Citrix user groups, and E2E VC. And he is also a Microsoft certified trainer. So we're very happy to have you here, Garion.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes.
Love doing these things.
Yes.
So
Do you want to say a couple
Yeah.
of words to our audience about what you will be presenting here today?
yeah, sure. So everybody, as I said, thanks for having me. So we'll talk mostly about the different AI services in the Microsoft stack. So there's a lot of stuff in open source. OpenAI has a lot of Microsoft has a lot of AI stuff, but this presentation will be most about what does Microsoft do in the AI space, and how can you use it in your daily work or to your clients, customers, or colleagues to help you get your work done more easy. And it's mostly about inspiring. So show the things that are possible, and hopefully help you think of stuff you could do that make your life easier.
Yes.
That's interesting. That's so interesting. Thank you. I look forward to learning from your session as well. And um, you can ask for the audience that are listening and learning with us. You can ask questions anytime during the
Yeah.
chat, and we will be keep the session as interactive as possible in this one.
Yes, please. Let's
All
let's
right.
let's let's make it a fun afternoon.
Yes, let's do that. Thank
All
you.
right.
Let's get
So
started.
let's get started. So welcome everybody to the how to use the different AI services from Microsoft to your advantage. So as I said in the introduction, the most thing what I want to tell you is if I want to help you acknowledge that there are changes because AI will make our life different, and how to educate you how you can help and yourself and others do their work more efficiently, and hopefully inspire you to play around with it and help you and your colleagues be more efficient, or cool new stuff that you can do with it. So little pun intended, but it's the A and the I. So let's make it fun and interactive. Questions? Yes, please, if possible. I'm not Gandalf the Grey, so I don't have all the answers. I'm more like Frodo, and I'll take you on my journey in the Microsoft AI stack and show you what I've learned, what I've done, and what I've seen. And not to say that I'm not at the end level yet, but I've played with it. I've done some things, and hopefully, I think there are a lot of smart people in the call that already are playing with AI and perhaps have added information. So let's learn from each other and be as interactive as possible. So a little bit about me. As introduced, I work at Roworks in the Netherlands. So I asked about Copilot who I am, so you can read it here. But most of the things is I do IT for 20, 25 years, and I still love it. And now the whole AI stuff is coming on. It's really destroying every free time that I have, because it's really cool and it's something that I want to do. So the session will be a little bit about rainbows and unicorns, so everything that is possible, not discussing everything about regulation, etc. Just showing what is possible. In the end, we'll talk a little bit about the European Act and how politics is narrowing what we can do with AI. And it's needed because it can get a little bit scary if you look at the full potential of it. But mostly we're going to do about is inspiration. So it's mostly about what is possible. So a little bit about the agenda. If you look at what we're going to do, we're going to talk about what is AI. We're going to look at the state of AI. So how far are we in the learning curve of AI? We're going to look at the theory of Microsoft in the AI world. I have some examples and a short wrap up. And if you have questions, as said, please just shout it. So the first thing, what is AI? So the best thing to do if you want to know what AI is ask AI what AI is. So tell us about yourself. So it's AI refers to computer systems capable of performing complex tasks like natural language processing, decision making, and some examples that we all know are ChatGPT, machine learning, etc. So It's the way that computers can make decisions for us and use us and make our life easier. And if you look at AI, what's the first thing that comes to mind? That it can be different for everyone. It can be something that does something for us, like the robot house cleaner or the robot garden mower or whatever. It can be something that helps us pass the time or be a companion, something like my kids play in Call of Duty and Fortnite, all these AI bots that they shoot down all the day, or something that help us entertain ourselves. It can be a companion. It can talk to you and it can help you feel better or help you understand problems or solve things for you. It can nurture you if you're sick. If you look at all the AI implications that are in healthcare that are being used or going to be used even more, is mind-blowing. It can make you whole. It can be as simple as Netflix showing you the next movie that you want to see based on your demography, your age, your viewing preference. So it can give you more of what you want and what you need. Or it could be Skynet, the AI that rules us all. And hopefully it's not that. It's just that that's something that the legislation that all the governments are imposing must stop. So that's not the future that I'm foreseeing for us, but it's something that we have to keep in mind, that there is a possibility that AI can outgrow us. So if you look at artificial intelligence, how Microsoft looks at it, it's Clippy. It's our copilot. So Clippy was a 1995, 1995, 97. That thing that Clippy was inside the Office suite, and it gave questions to gave answers to questions you didn't ask. So that's really it was fun that it was there, but it didn't help really that good. And if you look at it now, you can see it as your co-driver. So just to help you get to where you want to go the most efficient way. So that's more how Microsoft is positioning the whole AI, mostly Copilot stuff. So let's look back, because AI has been around for quite a long time. If you look at the early years, the inception of AI, it's a really cool marketing term, but it all started a little bit with the Turing test. The Turing test is if you ask a question to a curtain and the answer comes back and you can't distinguish if the answer has been given by a man or a machine, or by a human or a machine, then it will pass the Turing test. So that's the basic test to show if it's a machine or a human. And the term artificial intelligence came in 1956 by John McCarthy. That's the handsome gentleman on screen. And early development led to problem-solving things in AI that they could do. But in the 1970s, due to high expectation and lack of delivering, because the computer power wasn't good enough, AI was put in the refrigerator, just to say so, because nice technology, but not for now, because we're not technology advanced enough to do this stuff. Then, if you look at the 1980s, then there was a revival of AI, because the computers were getting better and better. And if you look at 1997, this is the Deep Blue that defeats reigning world chess champion Garry Kasparov. I remember that I was I was almost 20 then, and I remember this happening and think, oh crap, computers are getting smart. This is just a system that can do one thing. It can play chess, but it can play chess better than a human. So this was the first time that a computer beats a human at something. So, and if you look at the 2000s, things were becoming more advanced. We were getting Siri, Alexa, we're getting more and more chat stuff. And then in 2020, in 2020, OpenAI released GPT-3. So the first step in creating a regenerative AI bot that was on par with what humans want. And in 2023, ChatGPT was released. And then, well, it had 100 million users in 2 months. So that's mental. So if you look at the history of AI, it's more like something we had a slow start, but it's really ramping up now to incredible speed and applications. So if you look at the evolution of AI, we started with simple things, knowledge-based systems, for example, a thermostat. Then we went to context-based, so answering based on questions and information. Then we went to narrow and domain, for example, ChatGPT that can do generative AI, or Watson that can be helped by detecting tumors, or things that are very good at doing one thing. And then you can see that there are reasoning systems. So, for example, I drive a Tesla that has a reasoning system for driving, and it's not good, but it's a start. So then you get the next step, and that's a bit of the phase that we are in right now, our self-aware system. And that's also what a Tesla does. If it doesn't know what to do, it says, here you are, and then it just engages auto drive, and you have to drive for yourself again. So that's, and then the next step, and these are really cool coffee corner discussions, is when is artificial general intelligence upon us? And if you ask Elon Musk, it will be in a few months, perhaps years. And if you ask other experts, it will take a little bit longer. But the artificial general intelligence is a robot that is capable of making decisions and talking to us like a human being. And then you get at scary stuff. So then you get at the super intelligence, which is better than us. Then you get over transcendent AI, about AI mind over matter. So this is just to show you what is possible. This is not the only way to think about AI for now, for the history now and the future. But I found this online. I found it really good to show, okay, where are we in the state of AI at the moment, and where are we going? So if you look at number 9 and number 10, it's cosmic AI. They're gonna use AI in space to do traveling for us, to discover space for us, so we don't have to go for ourselves. And the last one is Skynet, the AI that can do anything, and maybe even better than we can do that. So this is the evolution of AI. It's not said that it's the only truth, but it's one of the truths that are out there. Just to show you that we've had it for quite some time, and that it's evolving, and it's evolving even faster, and we don't know how big it's going to get. Of course, a Gartner hype cycle, because what is a presentation without a Gartner hype cycle? It shows you that the artificial intelligence is in development, and you can see that generative AI is at the top at the moment. So it's at the top of the hype cycle because everybody has an opinion, everybody wants to use it. The possibilities seem endless, but there will be a valley of deception. So where we can discover that generative AI might not be the holy grail for every problem that we have. But as we all know, there will be some dissolution. But at the end of the day, if you look at the hype cycle as it will go along, generative AI will be something that will be in our daily lives from now on till whenever. So if you look at the left side, there are a lot of things: AI engineering, AI simulation, neurosymbolic AI, and those are really cool developments. And I urge you to Google them and watch YouTube movies about everything that is possible. For example, Elon Musk and his company Neuralink implanted something in a human brain, so someone that couldn't walk can walk now. So there are mind-blowing stuff that are possible because of the interaction between human and machines, and the artificial intelligence that we can put in even small things. So that's really incredible for the future and everything that can be possible with AI. If you look at the time to reach 100 million, so Threads did 5 days for 100 million users, but ChatGPT did it in 2 months. Just to show how big the impact is of AI on everybody in the world. So things like Instagram took 2 years and 6 months for 100 million users. ChatGPT did it in 2 months, and Threads did it in 5 days because Elon Musk took over Twitter, and we didn't like that as users. Then a little bit more about the generative AI. If you look at the flow, so in May 2020, GPT-3 was released, and you can see that there are a lot of things that are released. Even the releases are getting quicker, and more companies are getting involved. So there on the top side are the open source stuff, so the Mistral, the Pi, the Llama 2, and if you look at the bottom side, those are more the closed things, the closed source. GPT-4 is released. GPT-4.5 will be released anytime soon. I think somewhere in Q2 or something, maybe Q3 this year. GPT-4.5 and GPT-5 will also be released. So there are a lot of accelerations in the large language model development and how quick the releases are following each other. Then if you look at what are the big players at the moment, of course, NVIDIA with their GPUs that are powering the the AI intelligence, and of course the big players, Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, that are really using their large language models to and all the other stuff that they can do to help people build and develop. Of course, Tesla with their automated driving, IBM with their narrow expert systems on in healthcare, and of course the Dr. Watson from yesteryear that they are really using. If you want to have more information, I put the URL on the bottom where I got it, so you can see that most of the big companies are really ramping up for this. So, and then is the question, okay, and how can I start my journey? If I want to play with AI, some of you might have done some tinkering with it yourselves, or tried already running some offline large language models. But if you want to start, look at ChatGPT, Bard, which is now Gemini from Google, or any other open source or free to use platform that you can use to start with your journey and be a little bit play around with it. You have the DALL-E, the Midjourney, the Pixar, where you can create pictures. So most of the pictures you see in this presentation are also generated with the designer from Microsoft, or with DALL-E or whatever. So you can create pictures. There's a list of 152 best AI tools of 2023 that you can look up at synthesia.io. Those are from creating pictures, generative AI, to complete movie scripting, to writing essays, to all kinds of systems that can help you with everything that you want to do. And there are, of course, a lot of business application integrations. So I was working at a customer where they use a plugin in their online meetings where they can get the intention to buy from the people that they are in a meeting with, just by AI monitoring how people are reacting to the information you give in the sales pitch. So those are business application integrations, or that can help you. What's the intention to buy based on the meeting we had? So there are a lot of business application integrations that are also coming into the business kind in the business application software. So that's also something that we can play around with, and that's really cool, and it's really scary. So there are also a lot of custom large language models. If you look at the Bugaboo, or you can look at Hugging Face, there are a lot of large language models you can run offline on your laptop or in a VM or whatever. That you can play around with. Just run it offline. No need to run it online. Just in your own data center, on your own laptop, confined to your own stuff, and play around with. That's really cool to start with and get to know a little bit about the technical stuff, how to train it. What's training data? How much training data do I need? What training data should I input to get the correct output? That's a lot of fun stuff. Then we look at the right side, and that's where we're going to talk about today. So that's more the Microsoft stuff, the Microsoft copilots. We're going to talk a little bit about them. I don't know if any of you have played around with them, but they are really cool. We're going to talk a little bit about the Azure, the Microsoft 365. We're going to talk a little bit about Designer, and then we're going to talk about how to build your own bots. So now we're going to step up to the AI in the Microsoft world. So just to look around how Microsoft is doing this stuff, and what Microsoft is saying in their mission statement, their approach to AI. At Microsoft, we believe artificial intelligence is the defining technology of our time. So that's some kind of statement to put. So Microsoft is going all in on AI, and you can see that, by the way, and the speed in which way they develop stuff and how they release stuff. And this is the book of news from last year, the Microsoft Ignite book of news. I searched for the term AI in the book of news, and it came around 217 times as a singular word. So they are in a book that has 60 pages, just to show them how committed they are to AI and the development, and how they believe it can help them run their business more efficient. Then there's, of course, some kind of legal stuff. So I found I had a discussion with a CISO the other day, and he found this article by Fisher. Fisher is a Swiss accountancy firm that had done the research on the biggest AI companies, and they say, well, we are an innovative Swiss law firm, and we are dedicated to providing solutions for the Swiss within the Swiss legal system. So, and the Swiss have a very strict way of looking at the legal system, and also about privacy. So, and they say only the use of Copilot or Azure AI Service offers contractual protection in terms of data protection and confidentiality to companies. So what they're saying is, if you want to use AI and you want to use AI in a cloud formation, according to Swiss law, which is really strict, Microsoft has the best options to do that. So, and that's really cool, in my opinion, because that shows Microsoft's commitment to how they want to run their AI business. And for example, how does that change from the OpenAI stuff? If you look at data security and control, the risk of intellectual property exposure, because what Microsoft says, if you run AI in your tenant, information will stay in your tenant, and the information that you put into the AI will not be used to train our models. OpenAI might have some different approach to that, but they released ChatGPT team to counter some of these issues. So the way Microsoft looks at this is, we provide the platform, you provide the data, and the data is for you. We don't do anything with the data. So that's really something to put in mind when you're playing around with it. Don't put personal identifiable information or intellectual protected information into an open source bot or in an open bot, because information might be used and someone else might see it that it's not intended for. Then we're going to look a little bit about how the Microsoft AI landscape is positioned. If you look to the left, it's more about productivity, Teams Premium, Copilot, Bing Chat, or the AI post solutions and all the stuff you can do with it. We all saw, I think most of us saw this one on LinkedIn already, because of all the Copilots that we have at the moment that are here. And it's incredible, and they are being built as we speak. So if you look at what we're going to talk about here, we're going to talk a little bit about Copilot, the different Copilots, how you're going to add plugins to Copilot, so how you can make your own integration with your own system software based on your proprietary software and add it to Copilot. We're going to look at how you build your own bot with Microsoft Copilot Studio, how you can build your own Gen AI system with Azure AI Studio or Cognitive Services, or how you can start building your own bot from scratch based on Python or C# or .NET or whatever. So, and now we're going to start with the fun part, because this was all theory and that theory is boring. So let's start with the show and tell. So if you look at the Copilot stuff, I think you already had a presentation about this, if I read the bio of the Swedish Azure user group correctly. But just to show you, you can add something to the bot. You can ask something to the bot. It will use the Microsoft Graph to get your information from your systems, and it will add it to the Microsoft 365 application you asked the question in, and it will give you a response to that. So how does that work? I always try to do something. I want to create a presentation about the history of the Azure User Group Sweden. This is the Copilot in PowerPoint. So there's a button for that. You just ask what you want to do, and it gives you a nice presentation about the Azure User Group Sweden, where you can say, well, it started. I don't know if the information is correct. That's always the problem with AI, because we don't know. We have to validate the information. But I found this really feasible. So it started as a local user group, and then wanted to create a community, and now with enthusiastic Azure professionals, and it started expanding, and it got bigger, and started collaborating with other user group, a larger event and conferences. So today it is one of the leading community professionals for Azure professionals in Sweden, events, webinars, conferences. Azure Sweden is a place for learning, networking, and growing. That's something that you should put in the tagline of the Azure User Group Sweden, that it's a place for learning, networking, and growing. So this is a presentation I made in 30 seconds just by asking a question. One of the other things that you can do with Copilot is, this is a document about something that I wrote in 2021, and the customer had a question about it. It's a 67-page document, and I didn't know what the document was about, because I wrote it in 2021. I had this question a few weeks back, so I asked Copilot for the summary of the document, and it gave me a summary about how we're going to remove the Citrix environment for the customer and focus more on modern workplace. And it had to be done by 15 November. So just to show you how Copilot can help you make things more efficient, or summarize documents. Or in this example, I was chatting with a colleague, it's in Dutch, but I wanted to know what the highlight of the chat was with him. So we were discussing, he was doing a presentation on AI, I was doing a presentation on AI, and we found some common ground to discuss, and there were some key takeaways. So that's really nice to have some information about, okay, what did I miss in this whole discussion, or can you recap it for me, because I don't have it in my mind anymore. So those are all things. Teams Premium, just so you know, Teams released a new thing called Teams Premium. One of the things it can do is connect clients who speak in different language, and this is something I tested. I had a discussion, a meeting last week with some guy in French, and we were talking English to each other. I say, okay, let's try you in French, me in Dutch talking, and let Teams do the live translation. And that works. So it really helps in international business, because you are Norwegian and Sweden, and I can see some of you guys crossing borders or talking to people in other countries. That might help if English is not an option, or some of them might find a little bit hard to express themselves in English. You can also try this, and it's really nice, and it works really good. So Microsoft had a presentation about this, where they did something in Chinese and some in English and some other language. It works. It's not perfect, but it works. So that's the Copilot stuff. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the cool stuff, because Copilot also works in Azure. You can ask for the public preview of Azure Copilot, and what it can do, the URL is on the bottom. What it can do is it can ask you can ask it for information. For example, can you give me tips to improve my secure score? Now, they will give you some tips how to improve your secure score, and you can ask follow-up questions, or it can just chat with you. I can also check my VM costs, say, okay, what's the most expensive VM I'm running? So as you can see, I'm running this on my private system. So I have a unified controller in the cloud, Tesla made to manage my car, and a Pi-hole for the DNS. And it will show you about how much charges it will do per month, and if there are any things you can do to check. So the Copilot in Azure really helps you by checking information, and also help you create stuff. So if you say create an Azure CLI script that creates a Cosmo DB in West Europe based on a cheap subscription, it will give you the Azure CLI that you need to use. And if you click run, it will paste it in the command line at the bottom, and it will run. So you can check if the information is correct and run it. That also saves a lot of time, because I'm not really good at all this programming stuff. So I can just ask him, give me some, how can I put this in a script, and it will give you the information, and you can run it. And then, of course, the content and the text needs to be good, but the script needs to be good. But you can see how this might save you time. And of course, you have the Copilot for GitHub, which is also awesome. A lot of developers use it to optimize their code, or just to get a start in how their code should run. Then we're going to start a little bit about, okay, if you have Copilot for Microsoft 365, for example, and you want to add your own software or your own systems to it, how can you do that? So if you look at how this is built, you can have Microsoft 365, which is a large language model, and it will search the internet and your Microsoft 365 apps, but you can add plugins, so you can add your own systems. So how does that work? It will, once you ask it a question, Copilot will look at the question, say, okay, is it something that I can answer in my Office 365 mode, or do I need to use a plugin to interact with data in real time? And based on the information you give it, it will look at the semantic index for Copilot, or it will go into external data with a plugin you write in your Copilot Studio. So how does that work? For example, if you have a Microsoft 365 chat, and you can say, how many days do I have left? At the moment, it will say, I don't have any information about that. But what you can do is, if you have the Microsoft Copilot Studio, you can get at the right, you can see extend the Microsoft Copilot. It's in preview at the moment, but you can say, okay, this is what I want to do. Call for action, check vacation times against AVAS. So AVAS is a system that we use at our company to check, to fill in our weekly forms, so we can add it to our, so we can bill our customers. So, and also our free time is added to that. So you can create a flow or some information using Power Automate to get information from the system. And if you look at Microsoft 365 chat, you can say what plugins are available. You can add a plugin to the Microsoft 365 Copilot, and you can ask, for example, except also the information for Microsoft 365 and Jira Cloud or whatever you want to put the plugin in. So that makes it really cool if you want to extend your Copilot that the users are getting accustomed to and add value to that. So that makes it really a next step. So the people don't have to use another bot to get information. No, they can just ask my Microsoft 365 Copilot the question, and it will look in other systems if you program it to. Well, how do we do that? You can use Microsoft Copilot Studio, and if you want to play around with it, you can get a trial for free. I think it's 30 days or 60 days. And once it's expired, you can extend it. And most of the times it's just extended without any issues. So you can play around as long as you like in your demo environment. And what it is the Power Virtual Agent from yesteryear. So Microsoft rebranded the Power Platform Power Virtual Agents to the Copilot, custom Copilot. So, but what it does now and what it couldn't do before it was more of if this then that engine. So you could ask it a question, and based on a trigger, it would trigger a flow based on the question. If there were words in it that were connected to a flow, it would trigger that flow, and then it would run a script or a scripted questions or yes/no questions to get the answer you need. But now it can also use generative AI to interpret the question, to get the query and the prompt and get the correct information to Power Automate. So that's really cool. If you look at this is the Copilot Studio. So I built some Copilots. One of the Copilots I built just for fun, one of my children was asking me a lot of Lego questions. So I thought, can I build a bot for that? Let's see if that's possible. And that's really easy because when you create a Copilot Studio bot, you can say, okay, what do you want? You want a language you want it to speak? And what website, for example, do you want it to use as a base? So I just put in the Lego website and I said, okay, let's test it. So you can see here on the right side, I put in the Lego bot and the Lego website. And on the left side, I can test the bot to see what is the most expensive Lego set? It says here that it's the Eiffel Tower. Okay, awesome. So, and how does it do that? It will create a generative answer based on the activity. So if you put some text in, it will check the text against OpenAI. It will then run it through the data source to see if it has a query it will query the data source to see if it can find the information and give you the answer. This is 2 minutes work. And I'm a lazy IT, so I like things that are easy, and this is 2 minutes work. So you can also do this in other ways, and we'll discuss that in a bit. But and then, of course, what's nice is if you build something in Copilot Studio, you can publish it, and you can publish it to Microsoft Copilot as a plugin. You can also publish it into Teams as a chatbot. For example, if you want to make your help desk ticketing system more accessible, you can build a chatbot that talks in Teams, and people can ask questions, and it will create tickets if needed. But also you can publish it based on how your security credentials work, or to a Slack channel or Telegram, or you can also make it text to speech, speech to text, so direct line speech. Then it will, if you talk to it, it will convert it to text, do the search, and then when it comes back, it will convert it to speech again. So then you can talk to the machine. And that's really cool. But you can publish it on different channels, and that's really cool to play around with, just to show the possibilities of what it can do. So the main thing about this is if you're using proprietary information, it's good to have some kind of security. So you can say, I don't want any authentication. You can just put it on a public website. You can say, I only want it for Teams and Power Apps. So you can Azure Active Directory, or you can use manual. Then you can use Azure Active Directory or whatever on any OAuth 2 identity provider to log into the bot and to get the information. But then you at least know who's logging on. So this is the question, and this is just a chat that it does in Teams. So what's the most expensive Lego set? Well, it's the Louvre, 10,000. And the most difficult Lego set to build is another question. It's the Concorde, designed for advanced builders, allows you to explore all the intricate features of famous supersonic aircraft. And if you click on the one, it will guide you to the website page where this information is. So that's a really nice thing, and it will also click that one away. Yeah, it will also help you. You can, for example, you can add any other website you want, but it's mostly like this. The customer is asking. It's looking at what what should I do? And the answer is given back to the customer through 2 or 3 different steps. So there's also one thing, for example, this is a demo that I did for E2EPC, where you can use it to start or stop a VM for a user. So if you say start VM, it will start the VM on the right side. And if you say stop VM, time for a beer, there's always time for a beer. And if you say let's stop this VM, then it will stop the VM. And this is a really basic demo because it's not that complicated to do. But what I do here is I run a Power Automate flow. Based on this, I run a Power Automate flow against Azure on the background to start or stop a VM. But you can make it more complex if you want. So then the other thing is a help desk bot. So I was tired of people asking me questions they can find online. So what I did, I added Microsoft Learn as a chatbot. So, and then is how can I reset my password? It will look at Microsoft Learn and say, okay, how can you reset your password? Go to the login page and reset your password. And then I added to the flow, okay, is this answer satisfactory? Yes, no. Yes, that's awesome. The other thing, what you can do is, okay, how can I change my password? Was this answer satisfactory? No. That's a shame. And then you can run a Power Automate flow to create a ticket in Jira, ServiceNow, Topdesk, or any other servicing system you have. And then it can automatically create a ticket based on the question that you ask. And it will output the question, of course, through the API call in the system. So you know who created the ticket because of they're logged into Teams, and you know what the question was. So that makes it really easy for users to add a ticket to the help desk if needed. I made a small boo-boo there because I also thought, okay, but what if the question can be answered by the bot, then it should always create a ticket. But that's great. But if then anything that it can't help you with, it will automatically create a ticket, because that's how I created the flow. So if you look at here, you can anything, you can create a generative answer. Look at the data source on Microsoft Learn. If the condition, give the answer back. Answer satisfactory on the left, yes, no. If it's no, create a ticket. But if it can create the correct answer, I say, that's unfortunate. I can't seem to help you. Let's create a ticket. But then every time they put in a letter, it will create, and they press enter, it will create a ticket. So that will flow your ticketing system. So you can see all my characters are involved. That's a really legitimate ticket, but the other 3 are not. So it will help you in your solvability on your SLA for your customers. But you will create a lot of tickets that are not feasible or not real tickets. So thinking about how to use these flows in a correct way, that's where we come along, because that's a little bit more complex. All right, so looking at the next one. So we try to build low code using the Power Platform, and licensing of the Power Platform can be a little bit sketchy and tricky. So another thing you can do is use Azure AI Studio. That's another type of low-code platform. That's ai.azure.com. You can log here. You can see here it's Azure AI Studio, and there are a lot of studios. You can use the OpenAI Studio, if you look at the right, where you can create large language bots, LLM bots that can do stuff for you, and you can put them in an Azure web app, so you can publish them anywhere. You have a language studio, speech studio, vision studio, translator, some other stuff. So what it does, it relies on the Azure AI services, on the platform services that are in Azure AI, and you can use them to build easy-to-use bots here, or you can use high code to make more complex bots based on Azure Platform as a Service stuff. So what we do here is once you log on and you click the Azure OpenAI Studio, you can create a chat, and it can be a chat playground using GPT 3.5 or 4. You can have a completion models DALL-E, where you can create images, but then you don't use the Microsoft Designer or the DALL-E open source. You can create it running in your own tenant for yourself. So Whisper, speech to text, bring your own data, where you can import data and make it respond based on the data it has. So how does that work? If you look at how you create a chat, you just log on, you just go to chat, you say, okay, you're an AI system that helps people find information. This is the standard stuff you see, but what you can do is you can give it a message template. How should I respond to a question that is asked? So if you look at some of the templates here, those are for example, a Shakespearean writing assistant. You can ask, okay, if you click on that, it says you're a Shakespearean writing assistant who speaks in Shakespearean style. So I asked it, give me a poem about Iceland, and it will create a poem about Iceland based on Shakespearean context. So you can make it do anything. So if you want to make it grumpy, or you want to make it really annoying for users, you can just tell it here how it should react. I once made a chatbot, a helpdesk bot that ended every question with, "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" That's really annoying. That's from the IT crowd, but it was really funny to play around with and see how it will react when you ask it questions. So the other thing you can do is when you have this, is you can add your own data. So you can add Azure Blob Storage or a website it can run off or that it can connect to. So what I did for my company is I also do something a little bit in HR and a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I was tired of all these questions. So I created a bot where, this is the part where you deploy it. And you deploy it to an Azure web app, and then you can ask it. But what I did is I created a bot where the HR handbook, the car lease handbook, etc., are all in the bot. It will index it, and if people ask the bot, okay, what times are the raw based? That's the name of our office is open. So it's open from 8:30 to 5:30, for example. Those are things that you can put into the bot. And that really helps you with making your own life easier or the life of your users easier, because if they have a question about the leasing of a car, they can ask the bot, and if the bot doesn't know the answer, they should call you. But the bot can do the first line of questioning. Looking at the time and looking at, we're now getting into the really cool stuff. So if you want to look at the last part, it's the Azure AI Services, where you can run all kinds of code against Azure Platform as a Service. So if you look at Azure AI Services, that's something that's just in your tenant, type in Azure AI Services. The only problem is if you want to enable these services, you need to you need to fill in the forms, and Microsoft needs to allow your tenant to be used for these AI services. So they're a little bit in some kind of public preview, so it's not open for anyone to just tinker around with, but you have to have the business case and the reason why you want it. You need to add it, and then it will ask it will ask the questions you want it to do. So you can build smarter apps. For example, you can build computer vision, analyze images, Face API, which is a fun one in comparing to the Privacy Act that we have, for example, in the Netherlands, that not everyone can use the Face API to recognize your face, because that's not possible because of regulation. But for example, we used the computer vision for the custom vision at a customer that wanted to check. They were an institution where people were hospitalized, mostly detoxing from various drugs, and they want to check if things that are thrown over the wall are drugs or other stuff. So we built computer vision to check if the substance that was thrown over the wall was a brick, was something out of wood, or it could be drugs. And based on the likelihood of it being drugs, the guard could go look. So those are the things you can build. We also tried something with, we also built something on a construction site where you can check if people that are on the construction site should be there or not, based on the way they react or the way they do. Because if you don't know the construction site and you shouldn't be there, there's also some things you can, the people, they respond differently, they walk differently, they look differently, they're a little more on edge. So just to check if someone should be there or not, that's something that you can run off computer vision. So there's a question: I'm interested in learning opportunities to maximize the use of Microsoft Copilot for data analysts. Are there a recommended course? Well, you could, YouTube is always a good source to check for this kind of stuff, and I would recommend looking at I think it's the DP203, that's more Microsoft databasing, or the AI 102, where you can get the information from both angles, looking at how you can get the data sets ready, and how you can connect the AI to do something with that. But there are a lot of Microsoft certifications that are that can be interesting in this field. So, but let me connect to you, Bilge, on that. Bilge? I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but let me get back to you on that. But there are a lot of interesting courses where you can get the two things together and really create cool stuff. So looking at all this stuff you can build with it, I just built a computer vision that you can click on it and it runs. The main thing is you need a key to connect. So if you look at what we build, what I built is it's in a subscription. It has some keys. I built it in East US because of, I think it was cheaper, and it's just test, so that doesn't matter. And if you want to play around with it, in the bottom is the GitHub for the AI 102 engineering lab files. And in the lab files, you can they show you how you can build this and how you can run it. You're running Python or any other programming language you desire, and that works with the software. But my coding language of choice is Python because I suck at it less. And but you can use this to create software. So what you do is you import the software. For example, this one is image analysis, the OCR. So you just add the connection key and the URL. So the cog service point and the cognitive service point, that's the URL, and the cognitive service key is the API key you need to connect. You just input it in the software, in the environment, and then you run it. And then you can do all kind of fun stuff with it. So what this one does is it runs, you need to upload a JPEG or some kind of document, and it will extract the data from it, but then it will do it in text. And that's nice if you have something that you want to do, for example, continuously run. So if there's a document that has been received that has to be OCR, you can just ask anyone to get it, to put it on some kind of share or a blob storage, and it will be indexed and the text will be outputted by the system. But you can also do it more visually, and that's what I did, because if you remember correctly, you have the Azure AI Services. Yet on the right side, you had a lot of buttons. You can use Azure OpenAI Studio. You can use machine learning. You can use cognitive services. And if you click on cognitive services, you will get something like this, where you can see some kind of demo based on the PaaS services that you want to run. So if you look at this one, for example, I did an OCR one. So it's the, let's see, extract text from images, second row, second to the left. And so I, with my analog encrypted handwriting, because I type because my writing isn't that good, but I said, as you user group Sweden rocks, thank you for letting me ruin your weekend with all this AI stuff. It OCR'd that good. So this is something that runs on Azure, and OCRing is not, of course, the most sexy stuff, but it can also do image detection, common object detection, or whatever, just as a PaaS thing to test. And that's really cool. So getting into the wrap up. So this is a picture I created with Microsoft Designer, and I asked him, can you create a photorealistic image of the wrap up of a presentation? And what he did was a presentation where someone's head was wrapped up. That is poor prompt engineering from my side, but I thought it was too funny not to use it. So we're going to talk a little bit more about so what we did is we started with some introductions, then we looked at some different services that Microsoft has and how you can use them. And now we're going to look at the whole part, saying, okay, and what we're going to do with it. The first thing is, who's the boss? If you use Microsoft Copilot, then it's Microsoft runs a lot of the stuff and is also responsible for a lot of the model safety, security system, etc. But if you're going to look more to the left, so if you run it on Azure AI, or you're building your own plugins to Microsoft Copilot, you are more responsible, for example, for the data governance. If you look SaaS, Microsoft will connect to your data that's based in SharePoint, Teams, or whatever. Microsoft can give you some frameworks on how to keep that data safe and not the risk of oversharing, to keep that to a minimum. But if you're using more of the platform services, or you're connecting to through an API to other systems, then it's your problem to keep the data safe. So don't connect to an admin that has all the rights in your CRM application, and then put that in a chatbot so that everyone can see what the salary of the CEO is. So that's not common data practice. So once you start building it, you can get in a whole new way of problems with all this AI stuff and how it connects and all the things you can share that are not meant to be shared. And that's really cool and to do. But yeah, what's our job? Our job is going to be keep the AI in the guardrails and keep it safe. So, and if you're trying to build your own models, Microsoft uses responsible AI models. So they have a framework that they use to keep the AI inclusive, non-racist, etc. But if you try to build your own model, you have to also build your own responsible AI models. So you have to tune the models to keep it safe and respectful. So that's something, the more you do yourself, the bigger the problem becomes. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Something for the coffee table, or if you're drinking a beer tonight and you're sitting looking at the stars, is what are the ups and downsides of AI? And those are all debatable, of course. So if you look at the upsides, it's mostly always there, especially if you use cloud. It's mostly available and there are no big issues. It's scalable all the way around because Microsoft has a lot of power to run it. It has improved accuracy over humans because if you, not the generative AI, but if you look at the Power Automate stuff and if you input the same information, you will get the same output. You can create faster. It is faster deployment, but once your foundation is correct, you can create stuff fast, try it, and if it doesn't work, just remove it. It's safer to it can be safe once your foundation is correct. The information is can be more safe. It's responsible. For example, in the Microsoft world, Microsoft will try to use responsible AI to its max. Possibilities are endless, of course, and we can automate stuff that we don't like to do for ourselves. There are also some downsides. It might be AI can be creative, but it's mostly creative on things that it knows. So if you look at DALL-E, it will create pictures for you that you couldn't think of yourself, but it's mostly based on things that it knows. So it will use information from 25 pictures to create a new picture that hasn't been created before, but it's trained on existing data. There's a lack of empathy because it's a computer and it cannot feel. But that's also up for debate because if you look at Jabra or some of the other stuff, they can, for example, if you have a conversation through Teams, they can detect by the intonation of your voice if you're really satisfied with the answer or not, or really satisfied with the solution or not. So based on all the information it has, it cannot feel for itself, but you can learn it to make educated guesses on how people are feeling. There's always the possibility of skill loss. If we automate everything, there's nothing left for us to do. So some skills might go lost. Automated surveillance at scale, and that's where the AI Act, etc., comes into play. Because if the computer can look at every camera all the time, then you are surveillanced. And in the Chinese region, that's more common. But in Europe, we don't like that. So there's something that's good that there are AI acts in place. Now, there are things like it can be expensive to run because once you start running big numbers or big information through the AI bots, it will crank up your Azure bill or whatever bill or wherever you run it on. It's only as good as the information is given. So garbage in is garbage out. And if you don't do the prompt engineering well, it will also not help. And on the bottom, there are some issues. There was a lawyer blamed GPT for tricking them into citing bogus case law, because they asked GPT, hey, I have this case, can I run it in court and will I be successful? And GPT said, yes, of course, based on this and this and this and this, you will be successful. And it wasn't successful. So, and on the left, the UK DPD, they outsourced some of their people and replaced it with a chatbot, but they didn't do the due diligence very well. So the chatbot did everything but help the people in the correct way. So it's not, it's only as good as the information is giving. So, and that's what you see with a lot of these AI things. So a little bit about the Microsoft Responsible AI. It should be ethical and explainable. It should help with everything that you want to do. But Microsoft uses the principle of responsible AI and use that throughout their whole AI ecosystem. There's a little bit of the AI regulation. So Biden in America has an AI Act. EU has an AI Act that passed recently. So it's really good to check what that does. The AI Act is the legal framework to address the risks of AI and position Europe to play a leading role globally. So that's really cool to see that the politics are mingling in the discussion about AI and trying to regulate it as possible. So then a little bit from experience, if you try to build or add AI to your environment, there a lot of time is done with data governance, getting your data and APIs in order, so getting the correct information added to your system. And the digital transformation bit is what I call it mostly. So getting your digital foundation up to par for adding AI to it. Then building the product is mostly not that complicated, but it really gets complicated when you have to test and teach. So you have to teach the humans to use the AI, and you have the AI to train and make it better. And one of the things that I'm trying to make a trademark is when Google came up, we forgot to teach our users how to use Google the correct way. And that's why we're so busy with all these tickets. So please let them learn how to do proper prompt engineering. So let's use the adoption side of things to help our users be more effective by teaching them how to use AI in the correct way. So it can really help them instead of temper them in their daily work. So please let your users do the correct prompt engineering. So will AI, well, the age of AI is upon us. Yes, and AI will be a part of our lives for the coming decades. Can we keep our jobs? Well, I'm not really sure. I'm not really scared that we're going to lose our job because of everything that needs to be done to run the AI. That we won't be out of a job for the coming years. Our jobs may change, but we still will have a job. And do I need to worry? No, but you have to be aware of what AI can do for you, and you have to use AI in the correct way. I saw a tweet, I think a few months back, from Dr. Milan Milanovic that said to replace programmers with AI, clients need to accurately describe what they want. We're safe. And that has to also do with prompt engineering. You have to know what you want to ask the computer, and then it will give you what you asked. But if you don't ask it the correct thing, it will not give you what you asked. So AI won't replace you anytime soon, but someone using AI might, because they might be more efficient or quicker at their job. So that's something that I want, and I think that's the main message. I wanted to inspire you, to show you what things can be done with AI and how that works in the Microsoft stack. There's of course a whole open source area that we can discuss or do another session about, and that's also enormously interesting. But in the AI stuff, we are good to go, but we need to use AI. It's a rabbit hole that you can dive into that you might not ever come out, because it's every week there are new developments and new things that we need to take care of and need to think about or play around with. So every time, but I think, oh, this is nice, and then the next week there's something new that's even nicer, or what I learned last week is obsolete because of something new. So it's really a rabbit hole that you dive into, or a roller coaster. One shameless plug, I'm doing with a few community friends, I'm doing a podcast series about the impact of AI. That is just two middle-aged gentlemen talking about how AI, what AI can do for us and how we see it being used. We talk about the news, and most of the times we have a guest talking about large language models or offline LLMs or whatever. The most recent episode, we had a guy who, Jon from Amersfoort, who created an LLM bot with all his knowledge, so he can go on a 6-week holiday and the chatbot could do his work. And with that, that's all, folks. Thanks for having me. I will now connect to the Zoom to talk with you and discuss. And I hope you found this helpful and a good contribution of an hour of your time in the weekend. And if you have any questions, my Twitter handle is @gkunst. So you can connect to me and I will try to answer any questions you might have.
Hey, hi. Wow. Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you so much for the great session. It was like doing screenshots in most of your presentations. Oh, that's good. Wow, wow. Okay, I was really impressed about the PowerPoint presentation you did for Azure User Group Sweden with Copilot. That was good.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Any input from you, Håkan? We did get a question, but do you have any question on your side?
Now, yes, some input. I think that you covered a lot of bases here in
Mhm.
your talk, Gergan, so it was really interesting. I
Nice.
think it was
Thank you.
very valuable for all our community members.
Yes,
Nice.
and I like how you ended it with the importance of prompt engineering, which is actually a relevant topic we're going to discuss in our next session. We have Kim Berg that will share about using the proper way of
Yeah,
prompt
nice.
engineering. It was really good. So to
So
those of you,
I
yeah.
already put in the next one. All right, that's nice.
You did actually set up the introduction. So we will have like Kim
Oh yeah.
tell us or share about the prompt engineering for generative AI and some
Oh,
tips and
nice.
tricks for that.
Is
So we
that
have
is
that.
that in English or Swedish?
English. Yeah.
Ah,
We have our session in English. So you can join us next time,
exactly.
this time as an audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I don't think we have more questions, Hokan, right?
No.
No questions. Yeah, Kim actually is watching us. He is watching us right now for his
Footage. Yeah.
session. Yeah, you're gonna switch places later.
Ah,
Okay.
nice.
Yes. So we don't have any more questions, but we would like to share to everyone that if you want to ask more questions to related to the topic, feel free to join us on Zoom using that bit.ly link.
Yeah.
And yes, if you have time, I know it's Saturday, but if you want to hang out with us for another 15-20 minutes, you're welcome.
Yeah, sure. I'll switch over.
Yes. So anything else, Håkan?
No, I think that's it for now.
All right, and have a great weekend, everyone. And thank you so much, Jorgen, for your time
No worries.
today. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye bye. See you in two
Okay.
weeks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.